Alright everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I am Sean, this is In The Mixer, and it's episode 1 of a completely new series. It's going to be called One Season Wonder. Basically, over the last few days, weeks, whatever else, we've been doing our beta save. First with Atletico Madrid and then with Uzbekistan, and while that went well and I did enjoy it quite a bit, we did get sacked from that first job. We never quite hit top heights with Uzbekistan, and I've still got a lot of learning, I think, to actually put into the game before I get a handle on tactics and training and all that stuff that comes along with it. Now usually what I do is I'd plunge 1,000 hours into playing the game off screen and kind of make my learnings there and then just present content once I was good and ready, but I don't think that provides the best opportunity for everyone that's watching to learn along with me. And this never really has been one of those channels where you jump on and see like exploit tactics or people smashing it or whatever else. I just very much enjoy the narratives that go on throughout the story. And when we were streaming the other day, and if you aren't already following us on Twitch, go and have a look. I always do the wrong side, but just over there on the side, in the mix addresses for YouTube, which you're already on now, our Twitter and our Twitch. While we were in that stream, we were discussing with a few different people how they were finding the game so far, what things that they thought they might want to see, and how they've best kind of gone on their journeys to figure out exactly what tactics they want to use, what structures they want to use, what teams they want to play as. While we were talking about all that, we kind of got into the idea of discussing one season wonders. So managers that might potentially come in, and you think of a lot of like relegation bound teams, managers that will come in and do a job and get them through to the next portion, or interim managers or caretaker managers, all that sort of stuff. And what I'd like to do is take that a little bit step further and do like an elongated team preview where you just do one season with a club over the course of about a week from a content creation perspective, and then put that up as like a short-term series or a short-term save where it's just one season. You go out there with specific intent, try and work with the squad that you've already got, maybe do a couple extra transfers if you've got a particular hole that needs filling, but do it as like a team preview. So if someone wanted to manage, for example, the team we're going to look at today, and in the next 5 episodes, Manchester United, they know what that first season looks like. They could go and look at a cautionary tale where I might still get sacked at the end of it. They can go and see how different tactics might work, how different transfers might work, how different team configurations might work, and then make a decision if they're going to pick the team up from there. Now, we were fortunate enough to do a whole bunch of team previews through FM Life's channel. There are links in the channel description to those episodes, and we're going to continue that bit sporadically throughout the course of the year. We're going to do one this week with Manchester United. Depending on how far away the level 10 database is for our FC Isle of Man series, we might kick that off next week. We might do another short-term save. If you've got a team that you want to see a one season wonder series with, about 5 episodes, managing them for one season in the game, chuck it in the comment section below. I'm happy to really do anyone. I know Bayern Munich's missing a coach at the moment. We know that Tottenham have just brought in Mourinho. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Barcelona are behind Real Madrid. There's a whole bunch of different teams that are underachieving at the moment and potentially might be one that you want to have a look at, but don't necessarily want to commit to doing your own save. So I'm going to continue trying to do one season wonder saves throughout the course of the year just to mix things up, break things up a little bit. And if you've got any that you particularly want to see, let me know in the comments down below. Now, you might be thinking, why Manchester United? It's because it's my favourite team, and because they have really struggled over the last few years since Sir Alex Ferguson retired to get somebody in that could get them back on the right track. And that's effectively what we're going to try and do in this little short-term series. There are a whole bunch of great long-term series. FM Trequartista is doing a phenomenal one at the moment over on his channel. Just Trequartista, I think it is now, or youtube.com/Trequartista. Go and check that out. It is a fantastic save. We're going to do things a little bit differently where we're just going to focus on the short term and getting the team right for right now and for an immediate season of success and European qualification and whatever else that comes along. But we want to get that swagger back. We want to see Manchester United of old, the one that was up towards the top of the division and entertaining. Whether you loved them, whether you love to hate them, they were always there and thereabouts and did add quite a bit to the division. So we're just going to start with just the English Premier League. We're not looking to go crazy. We're not looking to go too in-depth. I'm not worried about Wonder Kids or anything like that. We're just going to try and get through this first season, see how we can set them up with a successful tactic. Hopefully, I'll learn a little bit about the game itself as we try different things and different styles. And hopefully, you guys will get to enjoy some short-term, longish than usual team previews for a whole season. Or it could be a disaster. You could hate the idea and think it's stupid. If you do, chuck it in the comment section below. As always, so much of the content on this channel is going to be driven by what you guys want to see. So please let me know, even if it is a negative comment. So here is my Hideous Burn Victim Manager. We are going to mix things up a little bit. We're going to go with a Continental Pro license and an international global level footballer. In reality, we just want to keep that the same in each of these series that we're going to do. Sometimes it'll be big clubs. Sometimes it might be underachieving clubs. Regardless of where we're playing, we want to keep it at the same level each time so that we get that consistency in feedback, get that consistency in the group. So this is what I'm going for, leaning towards the tactical side of things rather than the technical side, and hopefully that will minimize any issues we might have managing squads, all that sort of stuff, and get a more effective representation of what a player can be as opposed to what an upset player or a player that wants to leave or whatever else appears in the game. So here we go. First and foremost, Man United have taken the appointment of Sean in the Mixer as the club's new manager. Eyebrows have been raised in the football world at the appointment of a 30-year-old who has recently spent time away from club football, and he's sure to face plenty of questions when he faces the media for the first time at Old Trafford. In the mix has put pen and paper on a 2-year deal worth $230k per week. I don't need any of that. He replaces previous manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're going to have to get rid of this photo immediately. Of course, Manchester United, known around the world, one of the biggest clubs in the world, down to 4.5-star reputation. They would wish that they were 5-star immediately. Only predicted to finish 6th. We've won 3 Champions League titles, 20 Premier Division titles. Old Trafford, 75,000 capacity, been around for ages. State-of-the-art training, state-of-the-art youth, excellent youth recruitment. A massive, massive club that has been underachieving for quite a while. Interesting suggestion in terms of what they think the team should be in the coaching staff reports. We're going to try and do something a little bit differently, but I'll go through that in a moment. And of course, the expectations for the club are to play entertaining football, develop players within the club's youth system, which will very much be in line with what we're trying to do this time, increasing commercial revenue, working within our wage budget, and qualify for the Champions League, which is a very, very difficult ask with the current squad as it's set up. Next season, they expect to see us back challenging for the Premier Division title. We'll never get to that point, but maybe we can accelerate that program and do it a little bit earlier if we click into a right idea and a good tactic that suits the squad. So I said it was the first thing I was going to do, immediately change that photo there. We've done that now. I'm not going to bore you guys too much with too much of the individual clicking around. We want to try and keep this concise, and what I'd also like to try and do is bring you the opening games of the season in this episode, because it's supposed to be an accelerated series where we get through as much as humanly possible. So I won't bore you with these details, but I am going to quickly put together a tactic, and magic of editing will jump forward to it now. Right, so just like that, I've quickly thrown these couple of different tactics together. They are all throwbacks to previous Manchester United sides and eras, mainly during Ferguson because we haven't been as good since he left. But starting at the back, we're going with the sweeper keeper just because we are playing in this default 4-4-2 shape, which of course, like they were so successful in for so many years. Likes of Giggs and Beckham on the wings, Keane Scholes in midfield, Dwight York, Andy Cole up top, then moving forward, like we had a phenomenal side that had like Dimitar Berbatov, Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo on the wing. Fantastic defensive quartets like Pallister and Bruce back in the day, Nemanja Vidic, Rio Ferdinand. There's a whole bunch of different combinations that have worked really well in this structure. And yes, it did change. For Sir Alex Ferguson changed it quite a bit. We'll go through the next ones in a moment. But in reality, it was always trying to be positive in possession, trying to work it really well. We're keeping it relatively simple, in possession, out of possession. We're going to have 5 in possession instructions, 5 out of possession instructions, and 3 in transition. We will add more, we will take them away, depending on how the team goes. But basically, we're trying to bring back that United swagger, be a little bit more positive, work the ball into wide areas, get the ball into the box when we can, throw it into the mixer and back ourselves to beat quite a few different teams and break down opposition that may potentially drop off against us as well. If we go through the shape here, David Hay will go straight into the sweeper keeper role. He's probably one of the better keepers we've had throughout the history of the club. I've also put Edward van der Sar very highly. He played as very much a ball-playing goalkeeper that you could give him the ball to his feet and he could play someone else out. He wasn't a sweeper as though he flew up the pitch or anything like that, but he definitely played a good style and we could trust him with the ball at the feet, and we're going to be hoping that Hay can do the same things. For the central defensive partnership, we're very much modelling on Vidic and Ferdinand. Ferdinand is a kind of that classier ball-playing midfielder, covering in behind, sweeping to cover different defenders if they get beaten. Vidic is the stopper, stepping forward into play, playing as that central defender. For the wing-back spots, we're pretty much just going with supporting players to try and help the wingers as much as humanly possible. Still with defensive roles, still defence first as a mentality. They will both be on support, but we kind of adjust that depending on who we're playing. As a default, we'll go wing-back on support. Likes of Luke Shaw bombing on, likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka bombing on, throwbacks to like Gary Neville, Dennis Irwin, whoever else has played in those full-back positions over the years. In midfield, as our partnership, we're going with a deep line playmaker on defender and a box-to-box. Think of like late career Paul Scholes as a deep line defender. Michael Carrick was very similar. Veron when he came through, and then next to them you've got kind of an all-action box-to-box type player. Hopefully we can get that out of Pogba. I'm not 100% clear on what his role is going to be, but if we can get him to work that, be like a proper Paul Keane all-action hero, like Paul Ince back in the day, really operating as that link between the defensive structure, the midfield structure, and the forward two. Out wide, of course, we're going to go with wingers on attack. We're going to trust them to be the creative hubs of the side. I've already spoke about Giggs and Beckham. Ronaldo, of course, comes into that discussion. George Best, if you go even further back. Attacking wingers are as key a component to Manchester United's history as they've ever been, and we're going to try and bring that back a little bit. And then 2 men up top, playing with probably like, a short, deep lying forward, just playing in the holes, trying to find the gaps, like Dwight York did, like Teddy Sheringham did, even Cantona to an extent when he came into that side, looking for different pockets of space everywhere. And then a complete forward leading the line up front. I was weighing up whether to leave them as an advanced forward, but I think we'll go complete forward so that they are a little bit more versatile in play and try and link the play up a little bit more, other than running behind. But effectively, we want a finisher in that position. Someone that's going to be the one getting on the end of the goal. Someone like a Van Nistelrooy, like a Dennis Law, that's going to be our main finisher, working in tandem with another man up front. Away from home, Alex Ferguson used to always love dropping an extra man into midfield, so we're playing with an anchor man in that structure. Otherwise, it's very similar. Same defensive structures. We're going to be a little bit more concerned with defending. Think about like European away fixtures, big games against title rivals, European rivals. So we're going to slow down our possession instructions a little bit, be a little bit more direct, be willing to get the ball forward a little bit quicker to catch teams on the counter, and a little bit more disciplined in our instructions. In transition, it's going to stay the same. We're going to do the counter and the counter press as quickly as we can, but out of possession, we're going to stay a little bit narrower. We're going to press the ball as quickly as we can, and we are going to drop our lines down to standard mentality so that we are playing a little bit deeper and a little bit less compact. And just as I'm thinking it through, we're going to do a lower line of engagement as well. They can have the ball deep. We're just going to drop off a little bit more and try and hold our line further back. Still looking for the complete forward to stay up top and be there as a counter. Still looking for the wingers to get forward and attack when they can, but they won't be as heavily supported by the other areas of midfield, by the other wide players in those positions. We're just going to try and keep this sort of low block of 5 as deep as we can for those fixtures where we expect to not get the most possession. So it is set to 4-5-1 counter. It's with a cautious mentality. We're going to pull this out when we need it, when we don't expect to win the battle, or if we want to see a game out. So we're going to need that versatility, that extra midfielder and a defensive player in there as well. And then the last one, it is our all-out attack instruction. So if you think to, I think it was like 2008, 2009, 2010, when they had the likes of Rooney, Berbatov, Tevez, and Ronaldo all playing as like a front four effectively in possession. When teams start dropping off against us, when we're trying to break them down, when we need to chase a goal, it was such a highlight of Manchester United's time winning divisions when they would go and score in the 90th minute. Fergie time was a real thing. And I'm sure the bane of every other side in the Premier League. We're going to try and bring it back a little bit. So it still commits quite a few men forward. However, we're going to try and keep the defensive unit defensive. We're going to leave that deep line playmaker to anchor in front of them, and we're going to commit for and the additional box-to-box forward as much as possible to try and break them down. In this one, it's effectively all-out attack. We're going to try and get it into wide areas and then hit early crosses to get the ball in the box, run at defense, be more expressive, high direct passing, extremely urgent tempo. Like, we want crossfield switches as much as we can. We want to keep that within the final third so that we can hit crossfield switches between the two wingers and try and work space as quickly as possible. And out of possession, we're really going to push on. We're going to play with a high defensive line, an offside trap, and a much higher line of engagement to really push the fact and really go after it if we need to late in games or if we need to break down opposition. Those are the three tactics that I've put together. I think they all hark back to separate, older, more successful eras of Manchester United, and they're all very different. I did say at the start, we want to try and learn a little bit more about how the match engine works, what tactics are going to work for us, what things we're going to need to do differently to carry on into our longer term saves and carry on into other clubs as well. And as far as one season wonder goes, it's tremendous versatility across the three that we're looking for. They're all the same tactical style. We might look to change that if things aren't working out the way we want to. And let's face it, I've been sacked twice already in FM20. A third one could be on the horizon. But definitely giving ourselves a platform to succeed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the team. We're going to weigh up who we want to keep, get a full squad of 22, 2 players for each position, a little bit of versatility in those different formation changes as well. And magic of editing, we're going to filter some people out. Just like that, we've filtered quite a few different players out. We've gone down to a squad of 20. There's 2 players that I'm going to try and bring in. And basically, I want to bring them in because I'm trying to mimic 2 players of the past that might be missing pieces of the puzzle for this United side. First, we'll go through the guys that we're going to try and get rid of, which I've pushed down to the under-23s and added to the unwanted list. The main ones, the big names, Fred, Eric Bailly, Juan Mata, which was a tough one to do. I like him a lot. Phil Jones, Marcos Rojo, and Lee Grant. Andreas Pereira is also going to go, but in reality, he wasn't really going to play that much anyway. So we are going to try and push them on, try and bring in some new players. And the main 2 that we're going to be looking at probably aren't a massive surprise to anyone. 2 of the highest touted prospects in the game, both 19 years old. Jadon Sancho is the first one. The idea of Manchester United number 7, that famous number 7 at Old Trafford, playing on the right wing like David Beckham. Like, I really want to get a young English winger on that side and working through it. We do have a couple of good options, like Lingard is here and fits that bill. Daniel James is a Welsh winger, so I'm going to try and make him Ryan Giggs. We've got Angel Gomez, who will also come through in the next few years. But given that it's one season, I want to bring in some proven quality, someone that's already playing international football, and that will be, hopefully, if we can get him, Jadon Sancho. And the other one that I haven't really been able to replicate from anyone in the squad is Paul Scholes, who I have loved as a player for the longest time. We're looking to have like a later series Scholes or later in his career Scholes that was more of a deep line player. And Sandro Tonali absolutely fits the bill of that. Only 19, phenomenal player. We're going to go after both of them hard. We've got £100 million to spend, and I think we'll probably spend the majority of it on these 2 players to bring them in. Otherwise, relatively balanced squad, 2 players for each position. We're going De Gea and Romero in goal, Maguire, Tuanzebe, Lindelof and Fosu Mensah as the central defenders, Wan-Bissaka and Diego Dalot as the 2 right backs, Luke Shaw and Ashley Young, yes, Ashley Young will stay around the club, as the 2 left backs. Manic is the player that we're going to keep in midfield to work that anchorman position when we need him to. And he'll also split duties eventually with Tonali if we bring him in, McTominay and Pogba. On the right, we're going to work with Jesse Lingard and Tahith Chong for the time being. Hopefully Sancho will come in and take control of that position. Daniel James and Angel Gomez will work as the left-sided midfielders in the formation. Up top, we've got 3 players at the moment, Greenwood, Rashford and Martial. Chong can play there as well. We may potentially also look at trying to retrain Angel Gomez to play as like a deep line forward, but we'll see how the season goes and work our way forward from there. It's good depth at each position. It's good potential. Most players are interchangeable, so there isn't like a clear defined star in that position. So we should be able to rotate quite a bit and keep everyone accountable that way. And I think it works in terms of getting our key players into good positions on the ball quite frequently. Pogba working as a box-to-box midfielder would be massive for us. And the partnership at the back with Lindelof playing as like that Rio Ferdinand ball-playing covering defender and Maguire trying to do his best Nemanja Vidic impersonation as the central defender playing as a stopper and moving forward and getting his big old head on things will be key and critical to our success this season, as will the partnership with Rashford and Martial up top. But we know Mason Greenwood is fantastic in this game very quickly, so we'll continue to work him through as well. Now, we're not going to bore anybody with too much of pre-season. We are going to put together some high-profile friendlies against decent opposition from different areas of the world. Magic of editing, though, what I'd like to do is jump forward to the first game of the Premier League season against Newcastle and actually bring that one to you guys in this episode. And if all goes well, we might bring you a second game this episode as well. All right, just like that, we are a few months ahead. We are on the eve of the kickoff to the season against Newcastle away at St James's Park. Before we get into that, let's quickly go through our schedule and how we went in pre-season. We played a shitload of friendlies. I scheduled a whole bunch every Wednesday and Saturday, and then I handed it over to my assistant, and he scheduled a whole bunch more, which I didn't mind. It's fine. We've rotated quite heavily. We've tried a variety of different tactics. We started out with our positive one. We had a good spell in here where we went attacking against some lower division sides and belted the living piss out of them. We tried to be our counter-attacking cautious mentality against Tottenham, PSG and Porto. It went okay, a bit up, bit down, and then switched back to our positive one to get ready for the last few games of the season. So some great results in there, a lot of good wins. Beat PSG, beat Porto away from home, beat Monaco, Gladbach, Dortmund 3-0 in the final warm-up fixture. We did lose to Sevilla 1-0 in our cautious mentality. We did lose to Tottenham in our cautious mentality as well. It was a very late strike from one of their subs, but otherwise, relatively happy with how our off-season went. We have got quite a few different partnerships forming across the pitch. The 2 main issues we have at the moment is that Paul Pogba picked up an injury in that last game against Borussia Dortmund. He had a phenomenal performance. I actually managed that game. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with a damaged wrist, but McTominay can come in and fill the role. That's the whole point of this. We're going to try and continue to develop kids, continue to develop youngsters. And the same on the left-hand side. Ideally, we would have Daniel James starting. He's going to be back from fitness probably for the next game. I don't want to rush him. So we'll bring in Angel Gomez to make his first start of the season, and hopefully he will continue on that left wing. Otherwise, though, nothing to complain about. We're going to start the season with our positive structures, even away from home to Newcastle today. We're going to try and do it. And if it doesn't go well, we've at least got the versatility in our tactics and on the bench to jump in and change things as we need to. They're playing a 5-2-3, which if you haven't watched many series on the channel, if you go back and check out our Atletico Madrid beta save, is the exact formation that I used that eventually got me sacked because I was using it as gegenpress and there was 2 big holes here and here and it just kept causing me issues. It was a whole drama. I don't want to get into it. We're focusing on United now. Passionately, let's say, go out there and impress me. One person's responded positively. Let's also tell the defence assertively, I have faith in you, and they've at least responded positively well. If we get the defence right, I think we're going to do quite well. First highlight, short throw in from Luke Shaw. Deep ball across towards Martial. It's flicked away. Almiron should get there. Tonali doesn't tidy up. Jonjo Shelby gets to the ball first. Ball in behind for Joelinton. High lines failed us there. Wide areas. We've managed to make a good save there. De Gea and Luke Shaw recovers possession. So there is a danger on the counter-attack. Tonali's going to take a deep free kick here. Backstick runner. Comes back across. Martial gets to it, but it's a good save from Dubrovka in the Newcastle goal. Dubrovka now. Goal kick to be taken. We are on top statistically, but we haven't seen much in way of the highlights. Luke Shaw wins it, but it falls to Jonjo Shelby. Almiron skips past the challenge of Wan-Bissaka, gets to the byline and thankfully strikes from that area. One of the biggest issues with this game, wingers striking from wide areas when they should cut it back. We immediately return from that goal kick. Maguire carries the ball forward to Wan-Bissaka, who has gotten goal side. He's got to be careful of that man in behind him. Moves forward now, has a square man on in Sancho. What can he do on his debut in competitive fixtures for the club? Cut back to Tonali. McTominay top of the box, gets the strike away. Phenomenal finish for his first goal of the season. You'd think that's where Pogba's going to play, and if you can get service like that from Tonali, Pogba's going to put 15 in the back of the net. But it's a great strike from McTominay. Don't take anything away from it. Good build up here, nice and patient, working the triangle correctly in that corner. Tonali comes across, picks up the cheap ball, midfielder commits, leaves McTominay open at the top of the box, and that is a phenomenal finish right into the top bin. Dubravka now with the goal kick. A long one forward towards Joelinton. We should recover. Lindelof wins the header, but it falls to Shelvey. Ball pinballs around. Almiron takes a step inside. Skips past one challenge, strikes from distance, but it never looked like it was troubling the goal. 10 minutes remaining. We usually get creative shout. We're going to push on a little bit, try and get another goal before half time. Dummett with the throw in. Wan-Bissaka with a good header. It's in a good area, but Hayden recovers the ball, plays forward to Shelvey, who's been everywhere in the highlights that we've seen. Ball in behind should be tidied up by Luke Shaw without any drama. Comes forward now, skips past his man. No tracking from the winger there. Tries to catch up now. Release the ball and gets the tackle from behind. Joelinton's gotten in behind. There is still a man in front of him in Maguire. Instead, he gets his strike away from the angle, but De Gea does very well. Right, so at half-time, 1-0 up. We've had 10 shots, 4 on target, 60% of the ball. They've had 5, 3, and 40, but we have seen there is that counter-attacking threat from them. So we're going to mix it up. We're going to go to our counter mentality here. They're going to try and chase the game a little bit to try and get something. We're going to drop a forward in Martial. And we're going to bring on Nemanja Matic just to clog up that midfield a little bit. And what we might also do is, because Rashford's not entirely comfortable as a complete forward, no, he's not doing too badly. We'll leave him on complete forward. We'll see how he goes. We'll give it 15 more minutes and then we'll make some subs based on form, fitness, and all that other great stuff. Assertively, let's say, happy with your performance so far, and everyone has responded positively to that. Highlight here, first of the second half, De Gea with the long ball forward towards Sancho. Brings it down, but Almiron has recovered. Possession in a wide area. Just stand him up, boys. No one in the middle. Strikes from the wide area. It's very frustrating to see. I don't really mind. I don't want them to score or anything like that, but you don't like to see games with little glitchy things like that where it smashes the ball inside netting. Rashford hasn't played that well, so we might bring on Greenwood. Greenwood's definitely not suited to the complete forward role, so we'll play him as an advanced. It looks like Luke Shaw's not had the greatest game ever. We'll bring on Ashley Young, and Wan-Bissaka had a very, very late return from pre-season, so we'll leave him out there to try and get some more fitness in him. But we might also bring on Jesse Lingard at left back. Oh no, we've made all 3 subs. What am I talking about? Ignore everything I just said. Passionately, we'll tell them we had faith. And let's also use our Get Creative shout in a moment. Made those subs while they've had a corner, which is always a dangerous thing to do. I think it's going to be Almiron here to take. No, Willems is going to take once the players actually get off. Deep ball across, Maguire heads away, only as far as Dummett from the wide area. And he's found the finish. Paul Dummett with his first goal of the season. Very frustrating to see the keeper beaten at his near post. And I wonder if that's one of those things where he made subs at a corner and they eventually picked out the man not marking correctly. It's a good finish, to be fair. Didn't have much to aim at, but smashes that one in. De Gea just gets out of the way of it. And it does set up kind of a counter to what we were hoping for. Let's pause there. Let's go to our tactics. This is exactly the scenario where we wanted to have attacking football available to us. We're going to stick on our counter mentality, but we're going to push the 2 wingers forward just a little bit to try and go after it a little bit more. And I think we're also going to use our Get Creative shout for the last 15 and see if we can push on and try and find a win here. Right, we're not seeing much. We're getting towards the 90th minute now. We use our Demand More shout. There's 5 minutes to be added on. We haven't seen a highlight for either side since. And it ends 1-1. Not the ideal start to the series, but I guess it's a lesson learned about going cautious away from home. It can happen from set pieces. So 1-1 in the end. Paul Dummett with the equaliser in the 69th minute. 11 shots, 5 on target, 44% possession for Newcastle. 16, 7 and 56 for us. I don't really want to finish the first episode on a downer, so we'll definitely go and play the game against Crystal Palace now. Alright, just like that, we are a week ahead. We have 1 change, really, to speak of. Daniel James, oh no, there's 2. I lied to you. Daniel James will come in for his first start to the season, making his recovery from that earlier injury. We're also bringing in Axel Tuanzebe, who I've probably butchered the pronunciation of. Lindelof, unfortunately, broke his jaw, so he's out for about 4 weeks, which isn't ideal, but it's still a strong lineup. We should still do well playing at home at Old Trafford against Crystal Palace, who did lose their opening game of the season. They're playing a 4-1-4-1, a very isolated looking shape and formation here. We should, hopefully, have enough to get ourselves forward, work our 2v1s in those wide scenarios, but we have to be wary of the pace of Zaha on the counter. Passionately, we're going to tell everybody, or maybe just calmly, we're going to tell everyone, go out there, relax, play a natural game. And let's calmly tell everyone we have faith in them, because we would like to get our first win of the season, because the next game up is a cracker. It's Liverpool away at Anfield, and it'd be great to go into that one on the back of a win. Sancho's recovered the ball in a good area, played down the line towards Martial, needs to slow up and wait for men to come. Squares a good ball across, but it was a poor choice because there was nobody else in the area. Maybe if he had tried to slow down a little bit, cut it back, he had players arriving on the 6-yard line. Throw in here, Wan-Bissaka to take. Tonali's given the ball up to Townsend. He's looked up the line to Zaha. We did speak about his pace in the build-up. No jumping in, please, Harry. Zaha goes past him and nearly finds the finish near post. De Gea with an excellent save. Resulting corner, Meyer to take. It's a deep one across. De Gea comes out and claims it very well. Throwing now to be taken by Shaw in towards McTominay. Resets through Tonali. Can work it to the far side here. Got 2v1 now. Wan-Bissaka's got the ball in the wide area. Cuts it back. Cahill heads away, only as far as McTominay. Into Shaw. Can he get to the byline? Hangs one back stick. Sancho's in the area with his first strike for the club. At first goal of the season. It was a poor header away from Riederwald, and Sancho just lets the ball drop. I'm pretty sure he smashes this one in on the volley. We'll check it out in 3 dimensions. But it's good play, working it from side to side. We did speak about that, getting it from one wing back or one winger to the other. Poor header from Riederwald, and to be fair, he covered for Luke Shaw's pretty poor cross, to be honest. It's an excellent finish from Sancho, who's changed ethnicity since the last highlight. 15 minutes to go in the half. We're going to use our Get Creative shout. And we had a highlight briefly appear there, but it disappeared immediately. Wan-Bissaka with the throw-in now, playing against his old club. Tonali gives him the reverse pass. Comes forward now, steps inside, plays across to McTominay. It could have continued out to the left-hand side. We did have a 2v1. Riederwald looks for the long ball forward towards Zaha, who manages to bring it down and skip around one challenge. He's wide from the goal, and thankfully his drive just past the keeper. We just need to not commit so high up the pitch. We don't have to take a man on every time. Shaw with the throw-in now. McTominay. Back to Shaw, now across to Tonali. Keeps the ball well against 2 men. McTominay comes forward now, beats one, plays it into Rashford. Now to James. Squares the ball up for Martial. It's a tap in. It's an excellent, well-worked goal. Just finding feet in and around the box, sliding that ball across the 6-yard box. And that's as easy a goal as Martial's going to get all season. Good play here from McTominay. Turns his man, drives well. Rashford doesn't try and turn away. James skips past one challenge, just lays it across the 6-yard box, and it's an excellent finish. That's what we need. We need that fox in the box. We spoke about it at the start, that Van Nistelrooy type of player, that Dennis Law, to get those tap-ins. Half-time, we've had 11 shots to their 4, 54% possession. Passionately, I'm going to say very happy with the way things are going. We're just going to try and keep morale as high as we possibly can. And as we always do, we'll give it another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll have a look at some subs to get fresh legs out there. Tonali hasn't played poorly, but he's got a yellow card, so we're going to swap him out for Matic, and he can come on as a deep line playmaker. McTominay hasn't had a bad game, but he's got a poor match rating for whatever reason. And Rashford has struggled a little bit as well, so we might as well bring on Mason Greenwood. We might give Martial a chance at the deep line forward role, play Greenwood as the advanced forward. See if we can't go after it a little bit more. We're going to hold on to that last sub just in case we want to make any tactical tweaks in the last 10 minutes. And Old Faithful, after an hour, we're going to use our Get Creative shout. Shaw with a deep free kick now. McTominay back to him. Bursts forward, steps inside, plays it across towards Sancho at the top of the box. Can he get the strike away? It's not a bad effort. Maybe could have gone for the near post, but it was high regardless of where he had aimed it. Shaw with the throw-in now towards Martial. Back to Shaw. Deep ball across towards back stick. Sacco heads it away. Townsend with a poor clearance. It's cut out on the right-hand side by Martial. Again, Shaw looking for that back post run. It's not going to be Sancho's strength going after that one. They clear it, only as far as Maguire. Goes all the way back to De Gea, who can switch out to the left-hand side. Forward to Tuanzebe. Now Shaw. Skips past one challenge. Again into the midfield to Matic at the base of midfield. Looks for the long ball in behind for James. Can he find the right ball into the box? Cuts it back for Shaw. He goes around his man, gets to the byline. Stands him up, squares it to Greenwood, who gets his first goal of the season and first goal in senior football, I believe. Excellent run there from Shaw. Much better. That's what we want to see from him. Not that deep ball into back post, because we're not going to win many headers at the far stick, but definitely if you can get to the byline and slide it back across the 6-yard box, we're going to get quite a few decent goals in that respect. Good finish from Greenwood. Throwing deep, Riederwald, who has had a poor game, into Milivojevic. Back to Riederwald. Into Camarasa. Long ball in behind for Townsend. They are playing a little bit further forward now. Just stand him up. Don't do anything silly. Maguire commits. And then Riederwald, who I just said had had a poor game. He must have heard me. Gets his first goal of the season from the cutback. It's a decent strike, to be fair. We'll check it out in 3 dimensions. Maybe De Gea could have done better, but he had a bit of venom on it. Townsend just moves into the box, then makes smart choice here. He just stands up, cuts it back, and Riederwald from the angle. Yeah, I think maybe De Gea could have done better. That's twice now he's been beaten near post from that left-hand side, so we'll have to keep an eye on that throughout the course of the year. 10 minutes to go, we use our demand more shout just to give everyone some focus through to the final whistle. Sancho with the corner, Matic with the header just past far post. Not really worried about goals too much at the moment. Early season, we just want to try and pick up points and keep pace with those at the top of the division. Goal kick forward now towards Lolly. McTominay with a good header. It's going to come back to him now via Martial. Over to Matic. Long crossover towards Shaw, who can get to the byline again if he gets past his man. In towards Greenwood. It's headed away. Townsend with long ball forward. Zaha has managed to claim it, and he skips past the challenge. He's going to get 1v1 with his pace, and they've brought it back to 3-2 in the 90th minute. Maybe we should have made that decision with 10 minutes remaining to go to that 4-5-1, play with a little bit deeper a line, because he's gotten in behind a couple of times. We said at the start we have to be wary of his pace, and it's going to set up a pretty grandstand finish here in the last few minutes. 4 minutes to be added on. We're going to see any further drama at either end. No, the game just finishes because, for whatever reason, they've gotten rid of the final highlight. In the end, a 3-2 win, a good performance, 20 shots, 7 on target, 65% possession. The only disappointment, we've conceded 2. They had 7 shots, 4 on target and 35%. Definitely set up to counter-attack. We will have to be a little bit more wary. We might have to look at some tactical tweaks to try and get beyond that one. So we'll just tell everyone, well done lads, good win for us, and we'll go and have a look. Wan-Bissaka gets one over on Crystal Palace. Jadon Sancho got the man of the match award with his first goal for the club. The assistant can go and do the team talk, and let's go and praise Jadon Sancho's performance. Alright, so just like that, episode 1 in the books. We are going to try and fly through this as quickly as possible, so you're probably only going to see 5 episodes for this entire season. We've just done the first one, first and second games of the season, as well as all that stuff in pre-season. It'll be a massive edit for me to get through, and thank you if you have watched the entire thing. We're then going to come back and probably do like our 12th, 13th game of the season. Episode 3, we'll do like our 24th, 25th, and so on and so forth, and we'll eventually come back for the 37, 38 games of the year, and then maybe a little bonus weekend episode if we make any cup finals or anything like that. I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episode. I hope you do enjoy the concept of the one season wonder. If you have clubs that you want to see, like I mentioned at the start, chuck them in the comment section below. You can subscribe to the channel if you want to be kept up to date on all videos as they continue to be released. You can follow us over on Twitter. I pointed to the right direction that time for the first time ever, at @InTheMixer_FM, to be kept up to date with all of our interactions with the community, and if you want to reach out directly and talk about your saves. But as always, thank you so much for watching. That's the portion that means the most to me. I've been Sean, and I'll see you all again in the Mixer.